Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our AGM. My name is Silindile Mngoni. I'm the board secretary. We'd like to thank all our stakeholders for joining us on Zoom, YouTube, and via Facebook. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly note that today's meeting is being recorded, and you staying on the meeting gives us permission for us to record the meeting. So yes, and please can all the participants write their full names on the Zoom for registration purposes so that we will be able to see who was attending. And this evening, we just have one house rule. Please can your mics be off if you are not speaking to prevent disruptions in the background. And at the end of towards the end of the meeting, we'll have a Q&A session. So if you could please just jot down your questions via the chat or in Facebook Live. And please can all the attendees have all their documents that we'll be going through during the meeting. Please can I just have them open so that they can see exactly what we're going through as we're going along. And 2021 has been a hectic year for everybody with so much happening with COVID and the riots that happened in July. We'd just like to take a moment of silence to remember all of those that have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic and by the July riots. So please can we take a moment of silence? Thanks. Thank you, everyone. With that, we'll be handing over to Rita. Rita, over to you. Thanks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rita Mizrahi, the chairperson, very proud chairperson of the Board of Directors of PeacePlayers South Africa. And I'd like to echo Slee's welcome to everybody. We are very glad that we can have our AGM again this year virtually. Unfortunately, not in person. I'm looking forward to hopefully next year meeting you all in person once again. Per our constitution, we have to have a majority of our board of directors present in order to have a quorum. And since all of our board of directors is here, including Ms. Salim, who is actually quite ill, but she is here, I see. We are here in full numbers, so we have reached a quorum and the meeting can thus begin. Our first order of business, you would have all seen the email that Nasipi sent out with all the attachments, including the beautiful annual report. Thank you so much to Nasipi and team who worked very hard and late on that, which is absolutely lovely. So I invite you to open that up and keep an eye on that as we go through. Included with that was the minutes of our meeting, of previous annual general meeting, and everybody, well, I assume that everyone has had a chance to read through it. I would thus move to accept the minutes of the previous board meeting of the annual general meeting 2020. Can I have a second, please?
I second. Thank you. It's Vasi Nayana.
Thank you, Vasi. If there's no objection, we will note the minutes as approved. All right, thank you so much for that. While I've got the floor, I'll just move on to my chairperson's report. I would just like to thank our global executive director, Karen Dublets. She helped me a lot with putting my report together. As Nasipi and I decided I will look at it from the global perspective and she will then report from more the local perspective. As the chairperson, I also sit on our global PeacePlayers International Board. I cannot believe we have gone through another year. We're talking about July 2020 to June 2021 now. That's our year under review. It's included so many hardships, not only in our own PeacePlayers community, but worldwide. The global pandemic kept us and our participants and the coaches and the staff off the courts and bound to their houses and elsewhere held up the political unrests in Northern Ireland, violence and bombardment in the Middle East, more and more Black Americans killed by the police, not to mention the host of challenges we faced here at home. The resilience and commitment of everyone in our global PeacePlayers family was and remains astounding to me. We've learned from each other, we supported one another, and that's made all the difference in the world. We leaned into our new collaborative structure, rolled out our new global leadership curriculum, launched our online learning resource center, which we call the PeacePlayers Playbook, and implemented the virtual friendship games, and established a youth-led steering committee for the launch of the Leadership Academy, which is going to take care of all our alumni, so we don't just let them go out in the world when they reach 18 and they're out of school. These are significant accomplishments that we all can be proud of. As many of our sites begin to venture back to in-person programming, I'm extremely excited for what the coming year will bring. Knowing what our team was able to do under seemingly impossible circumstances, I'm convinced that with the return to play, this year is going to be on a whole nother level. In May, we had our first in-person leadership development program session since lockdown prevented us from meeting in a public setting previously. After dozens of virtual sessions during 2020, it was refreshing to see the team reunited at Hoy Park in Durban Central. During this session, we covered various global curriculum topics, including defining conflict, response styles to conflict, and utilizing our core values through conversations with peers by asking open-ended questions. During the past year, from a global perspective, I'm proud to report that we have accomplished most of our goals, which were set as priorities in the beginning of financial year 2021. Not going to go through all of them, just in the interest of time, but if you look at our lovely annual report, in my chairperson's report, you can read more about them. Just briefly, they are priority number 1, to enhance diversity, equity and inclusion across our whole organization. Priority number 2, to enhance programmatic and operational consistencies and collaboration across international sites. Priority number 3, to ensure the organization has the resources needed to achieve short-term and long-term outcomes. Priority number 4, develop youth alumni-driven strategic plan for growing and sustaining leadership network. Priority number 5, build capacity for organizational learning, leveraging virtual space. Looking forward, the global team working hand in hand with each of our sites in Northern Ireland, Cyprus, here in South Africa, and in the US, have put together an exciting 3-year strategy, 2021 to 2022, with the goal of building an impactful and connected global movement by connecting, developing, growing, and measuring the movement. Our boards, both local and global, recognize the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and specifically the global board has developed a longer-term board development plan to diversify. On our local board, I'm excited to also start looking for fresh ideas, different perspectives, hard workers, expertise, and experience to expand our local board of directors. Should any of you wish to become part of our family, please let us know. While the PeacePlayers Friendship Games and our plans for all the sites to meet in person in the Middle East for the Friendship Games had to again be postponed to next year, we hold a hope in our hearts and ever-present passion for change and collaborating to make the world a more peaceful place, even if we can't do it all together in one place. Thank you all for your interest, contributions, hard work, and sharing your passion with us, and we look forward to working with you all this year ahead. Thank you so much. I'll now hand it over to Nasipi to tell you more about the local happenings.
Ladies and gentlemen, apologies for that delay. Zoom did not want me to speak tonight, so it's not letting me unmute my mic. I would like to welcome you all to our annual general meeting. This is a great opportunity where we get to be with you to report to you some of our achievements and successes over the financial year 2020 to 2021. And what we'll be sharing today, as Rita already mentioned, is a report with detailed information on what we're going to be speaking about today. So I will try to make sure that I run through that without necessarily diving into much into detail. And yes, I'm so grateful that we are here in 2021, still smiling, still feeling accomplished with all the challenges that we have faced, even though that at some time it could have felt as if there was so much that was happening around that was not letting us move forward. I'm proud that working team with our schools and our communities were able to continue to work through to achieve our objectives to the best can, to continue to show up for the communities and the participants that needed us. What has been great also is starting to see the fruits of our labor starting to rip over the years that we've always wanted to have local sustainability and partnerships with government, with corporates, with individuals in South Africa, increasing our brand awareness, making sure that when you're thinking of sport, or when you're thinking for sport for development or sport for peace, PeacePlayers is the first organization that comes into your mind. So thanks to some of our partners that have come in board to help us, like the Fishaka Foundation, the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Sports and Recreation, who have been with us over the years, but I think officially they have now made a financial commitment to supporting us. That also includes winning the Recreation Body of the Year award. I'm sure you saw some pictures at the back for that, or even being a part of the KwaZulu-Natal Youth Business Awards and winning that award also. And it just shows that our work is being recognized, even though we are going through a tough time with the pandemic and other things that are happening, the civil unrest that has left a lot of lives, over 300 people dead in KZN. But we are able to still continue to do our work, to partner with other stakeholders to make sure that we are achieving our vision to build a more peaceful South Africa. With the unrest, we had to leverage partnerships from some of partners like Sport for Social Change Network, Colore Sport for Good Foundation, who are already our partners over the years. But with that also, we attracted new partnership from local communities, people like in the Wentworth, making sure that they're reaching out to us to see how they can assist our coaches, whether it was from food parcels, food vouchers, us getting basketballs to the communities and our participants, making sure that all the immediate needs that they needed, data and airtime to attend some of our virtual sessions that we had planned for them when we couldn't meet in person. And immediately when we were able to meet in person, we put together a guide that's called Return to Play, which is a guide for our coaches and all our staff, our schools and participants on how to return to the playing field safely during the pandemic, making sure that we had our PEE and they were, people were wearing masks during practice sessions, sanitizing and just supporting them the best way we can. Sifiso will let you know the more details around programming, some of the activities that we're able to achieve during that time. Even though we're not able to reach the maximum numbers of participants that we always have, we still reach majority of our participants during that time, even if it meant having smaller sessions in multiple days to ensure that we're accommodating everyone and that everyone is kept safe. All of this would have not been possible, really, besides without our team's hard work and the flexibility to adapt when times change. We saw our young team in the office. I think I'm the oldest. In our office, we have a group of area coordinators, our coaches who came up and really tried to find ways that they could assist to keep the programs going. Currently, 75% of our office is program graduates. That includes myself, you know, my story that I started in the leadership development program, and now I'm here. What has been exciting is that the leadership pipeline for PeacePlayers did not end with me. There's many other young people coming up, including my operations manager, Noluthando Msweli, who is now even graduating from that role. She started as an operations manager last year in October, and now she'll be transitioning in this financial year into a new role of organizational culture manager. And the reason for that is prioritizing the importance, as Rita already mentioned, of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and making sure that our office culture, if it is inclusive, but also our programs are speaking to the objectives that we have set in place. I'm just going to move on now to just diversity, equity, and inclusion, just to give you a little bit of background. I'm sure you're wondering, PeacePlayers, you saw on the first page of this manual that this year we are 20 years old. We've been in the game. You will see the history of PeacePlayers South Africa, what we've gone through over the years, how big our programs used to be, some of the challenges we've had over the years, where we are right now. What we pride ourselves is to continuously have champions of PeacePlayers, friends of PeacePlayers, people like Ryan Dowie, Mtokoze Simatonda, or Menzi Zungu, or even Tobego that I call every now and then to find out about the history of PeacePlayers. It's really good to have those champions, even now 20 years later, we're still advocates for our work and who share stories of how things started back then and who are now, whenever they are available, show up still to make sure that they're passing on that legacy to the current staff, to the youth, as well to ensure that growth of PeacePlayers grows over the years for 20 more and 100 more years to come. So over the 20 years, diversity, equity, and inclusion was always something that we have prioritized. That comes from our mission, that we want to unite, we want to educate, and we want to inspire people. And you can't do that if you're working in silos. You need to create a safe space for people to be. And through that, in 2018, when we expanded, especially globally in the US, that became very apparent that there was drastic work that needed to be done in the organization to ensure that we were not just speaking DEI, but we were living that. We then hired a consulting company who did an extensive study. If you're interested to see the report, please let me know, to study our organization, where we are right now and where we could be. And with that said, we obviously, a lot of challenges came up, and then I started looking with my team at PeacePlayers South Africa, that what were some of other challenges that were faced that could be limiting our progression, especially looking at things with the DI lens. And we started realizing that it is important. One of the challenges, the growth pathways. So our organization, it's almost structured this way. Mass participation through the primary school and high school programs, it's very big. And then as you progress throughout the program, I'm sure similarly to other organizations, it becomes smaller. And with what Rita already mentioned, with the investment now that we are making globally with Leadership Academy, Friends of PeacePlayers in South Africa, and our leadership development program, we've realized that it is important that if we're talking about creating pathways, we need to make sure that these young people, when they come out of high school, coming into the working world, they're equipped with the skills that will help them and set them up for success. So we are making some of those commitments moving forward. Another challenge that we had was diversity. When we speak diversity in South Africa, our programs, I'm sure you saw the previous numbers, even the numbers from the previous year, that we want to make sure that our program is representative and reflective of what the national demographics are. We want to make sure that if we are trying to unite South Africa, it is important that every South African is given a voice, whether you are from South Africa and you know how diverse our country is. I want to make sure that everyone is given a voice to voice out their frustrations, to learn, to share, and to grow, because that is the way that we will be able to achieve our objective. And then we started noticing also lack of transparency when it comes to the structures. You will know that until last year when we hired our operations manager and our bookkeeper, it was myself and Sifiso were really full-time, with our area coordinators who were part-time, and then Douglas, who was our international fellow, who joined us in 2019. So it is important that we create less overlap in our structures as we move forward, so that employees are set up to succeed. They are not frustrated, but more than anything, people have clear parts of where they need to go. Analyzing our pay scale. I didn't know until I started with this research a couple of years ago that it's quite difficult in South Africa to find out what is a standard pay scale for NPOs. And if we're talking about retaining talent, it is important that we invest in the people, equipping them with the skills that they need in order for us to retain them, but also we need to make sure that we're paying them market-related salaries. We are obviously not there. We are working towards that though, moving forward, to make sure we can do that. Lastly, one of our biggest challenges still around fundraising. I'm so happy to see Mam Shadi, our friends from Nelson Mandela Children's Fund here. We are due for a conversation. But fundraising and making sure that in order for us to deepen our impact and to sustain our programs, we need to have financial backing within South Africa. I'm sure you saw some of our financials that a bunch of our income is still sourced through our global office. We want to make sure that locally, because this program is designed to serve South Africans and it is serving South Africans, it must be funded in South Africa. So our priority moving forward is to ensure that we're able to do so, to attract more local funders, like National Lottery Fund has came back this year, Department of Sports and Recreation, they came back this year. More individuals are getting interested and starting to see the importance of investing in our programs. And we want to make sure that that continues that way moving forward. You'll see on our financials some of the commitments that we are currently working on moving forward, especially around making sure we're creating safe spaces for DI, inclusive spaces for all people to coexist, whether it is through race, through gender, including the LGBTQ plus community as well, making sure that if we have employees or participants, they feel supported and know that they can rely on us. And we have the structures and resources. If not through PeacePlayers, we have partnered organizations that can help us to address these challenges. I'm almost done, I promise. Financial year end 22, some of our priorities include that building and restructuring some of our division of our labor. We had our 2019-2021 strategic plan, and we did well on that. And now we want to make sure, one of my vision is to get PeacePlayers South Africa to fly. And we are almost there, we're getting there. But in order for us to do that, we need to make sure we have the right manpower, we have the right job descriptions for people to work, to receive training, and organization. Every time we get asked why we're not in other provinces, which we are, but not directly. So we want to increase and deepen our impact across the country as we work. Priority 2, to diversify our programs. I've already touched on that, making sure that everyone is given a voice to be a part of our programs through sport. Priority 3, around building professional capacity for our staff. We are a young team. I said I'm the eldest in my office. That's 75%. Everyone is below 33 years old. In order for us to prosper, we need to make sure that even though we might have the passion and the knowledge, but also we're equipped with the right skills to set us up. And then an overall organizational health from financial capacity to how we implement our programs, the type of programs that we're implementing moving forward. We are looking at those things and prioritizing those things and making sure that we're giving opportunities to our participants. And we've seen over the years, especially in the last 2 years, some of our participants, thank you to Mr. Sullivan Naidu from Northwood and their school, who have offered scholarships to some of our participants to go to their schools. And we are working to see one day, hopefully, PeacePlayers South Africa could actually have a scholarship fund where maybe through the Leadership Academy, we were able to support the education of our participants or our coaches. And we've seen this year also with partnership with the KETSITA, getting our coaches, 10 of our coaches will be getting NQF level 5 qualification that they could add on. These are the guys, some of them who only had matric, some of them who couldn't go or afford to go to universities, and now they've been given opportunities to expand their knowledge and get accredited qualification that they can use in their lives. So when you're speaking of organizational health, we're speaking overall everything and making sure that all sectors are supported. Lastly, I just want to highlight during COVID unrest, during COVID-19 and civil unrest, we've had some really incredible people come on board to help us. First, we had to pivot and make sure that, not so much pivoting, because already we had some of these infrastructures set out within PeacePlayers South Africa through our PeacePlayers Global Network. Arita touched on the friendship games. Our participants, 20 of our leadership development participants were supposed to go to the Middle East, including 20 participants from other international sites this year for a week-long camp. Unfortunately, they couldn't, but we had events and activities that Swiso will let you know how we pivoted to that space. So when everything happened, we had to prioritize our people to look what are the resources that they need right now, beyond just us wanting to achieve our objectives, but we will never do that without our people. So we had to make sure that our programs were equipped with the right resources to be able to still feel like where people are feeling a loss of hope, where they're feeling like they're still PeacePlayers, we're all family. We saw more engagement from parents this year, feeling free to come into our offices whenever they could, but also engaging with us, sending us voice notes saying, thank you, you've helped us, or we didn't even know what we were going to eat. The food vouchers you're sending us on a monthly basis are helping us. So we had to make sure that before we programmed that we were set up properly. Food vouchers from Laurie Sport for Good, Sport for Social Change Network. Thank you so much, guys, for your contribution. Our individual donors from Friends of PeacePlayers across the globe, from the US, from any country, people reached out and donated personal funds to ensure that we're giving these resources to participants. We thank you, guys. Incredible collaborations with local communities. I would like to thank really Neil Altsor from Wentworth, who helped to forge a partnership locally. Now we actually even launched a new school in Wentworth that Swiso will tell you about through him and people like Mr. Webster, who've always been with us over the years and supported our organization, providing data through partnerships with Doc Mabila from Youth Zones and ensuring that we were able to reach out to our participants. None of this would be possible without our team. So I'd like to extend my great gratitude to them, our global support team and leadership team, global leadership team, our office staff, my incredible board of directors who honestly volunteer their time. I call at midnight, they pick up at any time to make sure that we have all that we need. I appreciate you. Our incredible communities that we work on, we've seen you come out to support us and support our program over these 20 years. We pray that as we move forward, our organization will continue to spread its wings across South Africa, and you will be the advocates to speak about the work that you've seen us do. Our incredible coaches, without you guys, you go through so much, and my staff as well, so much on a daily basis, but your courage and your willingness to make yourselves better in your communities is very inspiring and motivating. So our participants, without you, we love you so much. We thank you that you trust us. You continue to voluntarily choose to be a part of PeacePlayers. As we continue to build the legacy of PeacePlayers, we hope that we will continue to make you proud, and just want to thank all of you for your time and your contributions in this financial year. So I would like to pass to Sifiso Mthembu, who is our programs, who will then dive into some of our programs, achievements and successes, or challenges that we've had over this past financial year. Thank you.
Thank you, Nasifi. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all keeping safe in this, pandemic times. I'm going to be presenting to you programs reports for 1 July 2020 to 30 June 2021, referring to our AGM magazine for more information. So PeacePlayers program team always dedicated to create a year-round programs that engage the communities in a sustained ways. I'm going to be starting off with our professional development program, which is youth age 18 to 35 years, who serve as area coordinators, helping with coaches development and program implementation on the field. For activities and highlights for our professional development program for 2020 to 2021, Our area coordinators had an opportunity to represent PeacePlayers South Africa in the virtual programs Global Friendship Games, where they facilitated sessions and facilitated conversations with youth across the globe. And of course, with the help from coaches from different sites where PeacePlayers operates in. Following that is also our coaches development program, which is youth age 18 to 25, who also serve as leaders and youth mentors, coaching children in their communities, facilitating life skills and basketball. For our coaches development programs highlights, coaches received weekly in-house training, both virtually and in person, facilitated by our area coordinators and our local partners, including child welfare, covering child protection, safeguarding training, and also core values curriculum, and also co-coaching curriculum for basketball. The next program is our primary school program and our high school program, which is children and youth aged 9 to 18, who participate in a robust weekly life skills and basketball sessions. For highlights for our primary schools and high school program, our activities went like this. So due COVID-19, of course, we couldn't do a lot of in-person programming because of lockdown, but because we have such an amazing and innovative leaders, we're able to figure out ways to reach out to our participants through the virtual sphere, which is through Zoom call and video calls. Following that is also our leadership development program, which is youth age 14 to 18, who are coming from different communities, backgrounds, and also high schools, who are pretty much diverse. These youth always meet in monthly basis, participating in leadership, basketball, and life skill activities. They get a chance to learn from each other and also how to give back to their communities using a game of basketball. For the highlights for activities for LDP, due to COVID also, they were affected to not do in-person activities, but we also transitioned to all our activities to our virtual sphere, and also they also received an opportunity to participate in the Global Friendship Games, which was also virtual, where they all got an opportunity to connect with youth from different sides, which is Middle East, Northern Ireland, United States, Cyprus. They got the opportunity to learn from each other's culture and learn from each other's languages and lifestyle. And also they got the opportunity to be very innovative, sharing ideas, how can they best become great leaders on implementing programs within their communities they're coming from. Following that is our monitoring and evaluation, which is for 2020 to 2021. We didn't reach our target numbers due to COVID because most of it were affected because most of the schools couldn't really feel comfortable on participating on our programs in person. And also because of lockdowns, we couldn't really go out there and just engage with participants in person. But our numbers went like this for 2020. We've reached 40% males and 60% females participating in our programs. And also for 2021, we've reached 54% of males and 46 females participating in our virtual programs and also in-person programs. For the sake of time, because I don't want to keep you all long here, I know that you're all preparing for dinner and everything. I would like you to refer to our magazine for more information. And also if you have questions, you can ask at the end. So I'd like to pass the mic to our board treasurer, which is Vasi. Thank you.
Good evening, all. It's a pleasure to see so many of you on the Zoom platform this afternoon. I am the treasurer of PeacePlayers South Africa, and I'm proud to announce that we have actually posted a surplus this year as opposed to a deficit last year. So we have posted a surplus of 217,000 rands as to a deficit of 14K last year. Most of our income has been generated from US PeacePlayers. 86% of it actually has been from PeacePlayers South US. So I'm just going to give you the numbers in thousands. 2.6K is from PeacePlayers US, 176K came from Laureus, 170K came from the Sport for Social Change, and 51K came from CATSETA, and then 14K came from programs and coaches' fees. As Naz did mention that most of our income is coming from the US, we would like to see this position change, and we need to move to getting more local revenue being generated here in SA. And from the finance report, the details are on the system, as you say, but I would just give you a very, very brief review on year-on-year changes, basically. So from year on year, we had our total operating costs that had been reduced by 60%, and this was due to the fact that major events were not held. Total admin costs have increased by 40%, but there are some increases and decreases within the specific costs year on year. Mostly the most pertinent increases I'm going to go through is auditors' remuneration. We have now new auditors on board, which I am feeling very comfortable with, and they are doing a much in-depth work than our previous auditors. Then bank charges has also gone up by 39%, and this is due to higher volume of transactions than usual because of the COVID situation and virtual meetings. So we had to buy vouchers, and then there was vouchers for foods, things like that. So the bank charges have been higher. Consulting fees, we had to hire support with fundraisers for the CATSETA and UIF and TIRS and I also have been doing some coaching with the team. Employee costs, that is the big one that has gone because we have employed 2 new people. That's the organization cultural manager and the bookkeeper, chief office and office administrator. The subscriptions, new subscriptions for Microsoft Suites and paying of monthly for Zoom, because obviously everything is happening virtually now. Then the other one was the telephone and fax. Moving from virtual, it was required to purchase extra data and airtime for all the programs and including coaches and staff. There has been no capital expenditure for this year. However, we might be spending in the new year. In the bank itself, there's 519K in the South African National Bank, 37K in the National Cash Bank, and then on the Laureus Fund, there's 47Ks. This is a very, very brief report. The actual AFS in an comprehensive income statement is on the report, and I'm not going to go through that in detail because this is just the summary version, what I have posted, I'm giving you this afternoon. In conclusion, I would like to say that the new accounting system that has been implemented has passed most of its teething problems now, and there's ongoing training and improvements with intact accounting packages are being implemented with the US and local offices. The auditors have made a few recommendations to the management for day-to-day operations. This will be implemented to ensure that internal controls are in place to safeguard the organization. We would like to express our gratitude to our donors, stakeholders, and the board, management, and staff of PeacePlayers for their contribution and continuous dedication. We look forward to your continued support for all stakeholders to reach our financial goals and output for our journey going forward. Thank you. I now hand you over to Rita. Thank you.
Thank you, Vasi. In the nonprofit sphere, it's so important to be transparent, and everyone who knows me knows that I am a sucker for the rules. and corporate governance is very, very important to me. And so, yeah, another formality, like as he said, we've got some very good auditors now who have made a lot of suggestions, which we are fully intending to implement. It's been a bit of a teething issue, but the financial are in good state right now. And we are very impressed with our new auditors. So for the next financial year coming forward, I move to appoint Turning Point Consulting, our current auditors, as our auditors for the next financial year. Can I please have a second?
I second Slindile Mnguni.
Thank you, Slee. If there's no objections, I pass the motion to appoint them for the next financial year. And I'd like to pass it over to the CP again to introduce our speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm super excited to introduce our speaker. She is a phenomenal woman that I've had an opportunity to play with and against when I'm playing basketball, but definitely her accomplishments and achievements are mostly in netball. She played various sports from basketball to athletics, and now is really championing netball. Recently, she's just been named as for the KZN Sports Personality of the Year, the KZN Sports Awards 2021. She is actually currently in Maseru, Lesotho. Congratulations to her and her team. She's the head coach of the South African under-19 team who have just won gold today. And because of connectivity and network, she sends her regards that she was not able to be here with us in person, but we did manage to get an audio visual of her sharing her message with us. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce the precious Mthembu, and here is a message from her.
My name is Precious Mthembu and I'm from Durban. I'm a teacher at Danville Parkhouse High School. I'm a coach. Yes, so how I got into netball was I started netball at the age of 11 years old, and I really loved the sports, and I was involved with a lot of sports at a young age. I got a scholarship throughout my whole education career. I played basketball, netball, volleyball, athletics as a runner, but I really fell in love with netball because of how you interact with people, how it made me the person I am today. And I've traveled a lot of countries because of netball. Sometimes in life you learn a lot of things within the space that you are in. Taking part in activities that can instill principles that you can realize the value of resistance, courage, the value of hard work, how to play well with others, how people remember you when you played, and that you don't always have to win when you're playing. Losing is part of the game, part of life, and how you can get up and dust off the dust and continue again. When you have a voice, you have a voice in different ways. We just need to remember that girls and boys come from different cultures, come from different, there's a diverse within the activities and the environments that the girls and boys belong to. And what's really needed from them is really important to realize what they need for them to express their voices and give out and speak about how they feel. My recent achievements here in KZN or nationally was I recently just got the KZN Personality of the Year and the Sports Awards. I'm the Under-21 Assistant Coach netball team. I've won 5 Super League, KZN Nepal Super League Championships. I'm currently in the Under-19 Regional 5 games in Lesotho at the moment. So today we are about to go and play the finals against Malawi. So hopefully you're going to come back with gold medal. The girls are playing very, very well and really enjoying coaching them. And, how there's so much that I've learned from them in terms of the diverse, different girls that come from different districts. And how they've just been able to grow within the small space of time that I spend time with them in terms of training and preparation for these games. Communication between netball courts and during the matches, that will be the achievements, the approach, laugh, decisions, the different challenges that you get on court that you will use out in your daily life outside, the risks that you take, the disappointments and the different goals. And then the skills that I think a ready personality will be, you gotta be able to be approachable, you gotta be warm, your voice has to be really clear so people can hear you well. I think a good tone of voice is important, and also just to be knowledgeable of the current affairs, the news, the social trends, the things that are happening around the world. You need to really be aware what's really happening. Limited resources that you can have to create ways to help boys and girls in communities. Well, at the moment, I really think there are no role models in communities. That's why you find a lot of them settling for social media, and they really settle for what's really close by. And it takes us to build these communities, people within our own communities. We really need to stand up and help these young boys and girls, achieve their goal, because there's so much talent in South Africa. There's so much talent. It's just a matter of us being responsible enough to, spare our time and do beyond what's needed. The key messages I can give to young boys and girls who play sports is to always give your absolute best whenever you do. Give your best efforts. Is to work hard. Every time you're given opportunity to step on court, you're given a bib, is to get off the court without no regrets. Have fun really at it. Support your teammates. Listen to your coaches. The winning will take care of itself. But always remember that the passion will drive you. If you find that sports is not your thing, you can always fall back into something else. You must always realize and try and find out what you are best at and try and focus on that. But never ever settle for anything less or anything mediocre. Because in life, you can get so much out of sports and so much out of all the opportunities that we're given. So thank you so much to everyone who's just been a part of the sports in KZN Sports Department, Sports Confederation, and everyone of the coaches who've just been involved with the young athletes and young boys and girls within their districts, provinces. So I'd just like to say to them, keep up the good work. Sometimes it's tough trying to raise and develop young players out there. But again, it is our duty to try and get these athletes to be in the best form so they can compete in the international level. Thank you, PeacePlayers, for inviting me, for being part of this beautiful annual meeting. So continue doing what you do. It is a great initiative, what you're doing. Giving back and changing people's lives through the sports. So all the best and take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Precious Mthembu. Just want to extend my great gratitude from all of us at PeacePlayers to her. Also to Lona Mapenya from Mapenya Sport Consulting for always lending a hand at PeacePlayers. Every time we need anything from them, they avail themselves to make sure that they show up because we share the same passion. So thank you so much, Precious, for taking time in between your coaching sessions in Lesotho to send us the audio so that at least we could share yourself and your passions, and including your successes, with all of us at PeacePlayers, both here in South Africa and also our global partners. I'm sure they're going to get to see this as well. And it's really good to see young Black women so successful and doing what she loves, from teaching to playing sports. So thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to move on to the next section that I know everyone has been eager for. And that is our Q&A. So right now we would invite all of you. We know you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on Facebook, some of you are interacting through Instagram and here on Zoom. We had asked you to please post questions on those social platforms, or also here on Zoom, so we can hopefully answer those questions. But more than anything, at PeacePlayers, we love collaborating. So if we don't have an answer, we might throw it back on the field to see how some of you are dealing with some of the challenges or issues that we might be facing. But more so, if anything around the reports, maybe interest around how we run our programs or some of our financials or governance and anything, this would be the time to please post those questions to us. So I'll call upon my team. Tobani, I know you're facilitating questions on Facebook, Tando on Zoom, Anisha on Instagram, and also Doug here on Zoom as well. If there are any questions, my board of directors are here. I'm sure they are more than ready and willing to answer. Thankfully, we have our team here as well, who can jump on and answer any questions that you may have. So Q&A is now open.
Okay, I'll start. There's the first question on Zoom is, how will you generate more local revenue in South Africa?
I'm sure that is not asked from Nasipi. Yes, so generating revenue, we have increased actually our local revenue. We used to be almost 100% funded through our global office. It is still obviously a challenge, and I think with the last financial year we had budget cuts from some of our partners who were also faced with the same challenges as everyone else around funding. So we are trying to make sure that we are increasing that. We've implemented new ways, trying to be creative, looking at enhancing our marketing, our networking, partnership with local organizations that might be doing what we are doing or what we want to do. I'm sure you saw child welfare, for example. We don't pay for child protection training and support. We have them facilitate that for us, and numerous other things that partners hop on to help us. What we have not, an opportunity that we have not tapped on previously because of capacity and just time, honestly, that I'm hoping we're gonna expand on here is doing more campaigns and partnerships. We've seen through expanding our network and brand awareness, now with these different awards that we've won, being nominated this year for the first time for the Hollard Sport Industry Awards, incredible amount of corporates and other individuals who are part of that, and for us to be a finalist and getting a reassurance that we're doing a good work. We're hoping that moving forward we can continue to expand sharing the work that we're doing within our programs, within our organization, partnering with other organizations, doing the necessary campaigns, focusing on grassroots fundraising within the communities. If you look, for example, one of our communities, Umlazi, there's so much business that is going on in that area. We need to find creative ways where people from Umlazi are able to give and support the programs from those areas. That goes for every other area that we're working on, and increase also our partnership through corporations, through government. Like I said, Sports and Recreation is Help On this year. We want to sustain those relationships. What has been a challenge also in South Africa is getting partners that want to give multi-funding, and it takes a lot to build those relationships. So we continue to plow. And next year, we are looking to make some important changes within even our staff to ensure that we have the capacity that can support that, hopefully, in the next year or so, when we report back to you, you will see our budget bigger than it is at the moment, with revenue increase as well. I hope I've answered your question.
Okay, there's a second question. How does PeacePlayers plan to diversify programming in terms of balancing the racial percentages?
Thank you, Tando. I'll pass to my head of programs, Officer. He is here.
Yeah, thanks, Tando. So we are planning to reach out to more schools from our urban side and all the way to places like Durban North, Westview area, but also with the help of our leadership development program participants, of which they coming from those schools who are very diverse and also who are from those areas. So they're gonna help us recruit more participants as well, because they're already PeacePlayers advocates. So they're willing to help us to recruit more of the participants to be able to diversify our programs. We are planning to do that even this year, but of course, because of COVID-19 blocking our way to do that, we're looking at to start doing that next year to reach out to more schools and also communities.
Thank you, Sirsa. Do we have more questions? My mother would say, when people don't have questions, it means you've done a very great job of sharing as much information as possible, or everyone has logged out of Zoom. Oh, no, everyone is still here. If there are no further questions, please take your time to go through our reports. The one that I've shared, they're also going to be available on our website as well, PeacePlayers, www.peaceplayers.org. That report is the annual report.
Questions on
the full
Facebook.
Okay. And the full annual financial statements are also going to be posted on our website. So please take time to go through and to think about ways that, to think about questions, but also about ways that you can be helpful to help our organization move forward and to grow from strength to strength. With no further questions, I would like to pass the mic back to Slee, our board secretary, who will do a vote of thanks.
Hi, once again, everybody. So, as Nas has said, thanks, Nas. My name is Slee, I'm the board secretary. And my task is just to thank everybody. Thank you, everyone, for logging in this evening. Thank you to Pasculus Creative for designing our annual report magazine. Thank you to our auditors for preparing our AFS. And thank you to the 25 schools that have participated this year. The list of schools will be seen in the annual report magazine that's been handed out to everybody. Thank you to all our partners that have partnered with us in the 2020-2021 financial year, which will be the PeacePlayers Global Laureate Sports for Good Foundation, Sports for Social Change Network 0 to 5, Child Welfare Durban District, St. Phineas College, Young Youth Zones, school, and all the schools that contributed and all the individuals that contributed this year. Thank you, everybody. Unfortunately, there's so many people that we cannot thank everybody, but the full list of all our sponsors and all our partners that we'd like to thank is in the magazine. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Rita. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lee. And from my side as well, thank you so much to the board of directors for everything you do. often a thankless job. And thank you so much to Nasipi specifically as our fearless leader. And yeah, like she said, last night, what time she was still busy working with the team. And we are very, very, very grateful. Wonderful, wonderful people we have here. And I really do implore you guys, do some research, drop Naz an email, find out more about our organization. You will become inspired like I did 5 years ago, and never leave, become part of the furniture. So thank you everyone for joining us this evening. If there is no further business, I would like to declare this annual general meeting of PeacePlayers South Africa closed. Have a good night, everyone.
Players South Africa. We are in KZN and it's a National Recreational Day. My name is Tobani Ngubane. We are live in Blue Roof. Today going to be doing basketball. So Peace Players use basketball to unite, inspire youth from South Africa. We use the sport of basketball to deliver life skills to the kids. So today we're going to be rock and roll in KZN.
Are you guys ready? Okay, let me hear you. I will play fair, and for the love of the game we play! Come on! Peace Players!
To the left. One up this time. Right foot, left side. Left foot, left side. Chop, right through.
So when I say, are you guys excited? South Africa, as you've seen it today, we kept the nation moving at PeacePlayers South Africa. We hope you have fun. We would like to thank our partners, Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, and the Ministry, just to thank you guys for supporting us. We want to thank our loyal partners who've been with us, Sport for Social Change Network. Thank you for always showing up for South Africa and for youth and to keep us active. Hashtag 626 SSCN Challenge. As you've seen it, now we're moving it over to Cape Town.